Yeah, that's right. We're back, and this ain't my first mortgage podcast. Welcome to the show, where we discuss all things mortgage sales, industry news, interviews of the top mortgage professionals, and more. Strap on in, enjoy the ride, and welcome to Ain't My First Mortgage Podcast. Brian, welcome to Ain't My First Mortgage Podcast, buddy. How we doing?
Doing great, Skip. Thanks for having me. I love the title.
Man, yeah, well, it ain't my first mortgage podcast, as
I know that.
well aware. I was going to call you a friend of the show, but that'd be the old show. This is the new
That's
show.
right.
Thank you so much for coming on. For listeners that don't know you, who you are, what you do, take a second to introduce yourself, please, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Skip. I'm Brian Vieaux. I'm the president of MISMO. MISMO is the mortgage industry's standards maintenance organization. That's what the acronym MISMO stands for. And in short, we're a nonprofit that serves the entire mortgage ecosystem, and we solve big industry problems typically by creating data standards that allow technologies to talk to each other, loan data to pass seamlessly from, player A to player B, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I've been in this role for about 6 months now.
Awesome, man. I love it. Yeah, you've got a great position there to do a lot of good things for the industry, and I think it's going to be really exciting for you in the years to come. So let's take it down to the granular level, because I imagine the listeners, probably half of them are going to be sort of familiar with MISMO, half of them aren't. Can you give the listeners just a couple of very rudimentary examples of some things that MISMO is involved in?
Yeah, so I always start with this one. If I'm meeting a group, which I just came from an event and was talking with a group at a cocktail hour, and someone said, I'm not sure what MISMO does. So I asked the question, have you ever originated a loan? And I knew the answer. This happened to be the owner of a large mortgage company. He's like, well, yeah, we do that every day. I said, well, then MISMO touches everything you do every day. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, you ever written a loan application? Yeah. What did you use? I don't know, 1003 point of sale. I'm like, 1003. Let's talk about the 1003. The Uniform Residential Loan Application, also known as the Fannie 3.4.
Right.
And that is an example of a standard, the data standard that was created inside of the MISMO community. So literally every single loan that gets originated in our space is leveraging standards like the Uniform Residential Loan Application, to make that process easier. So then I asked people to imagine a world if there was no standard for that loan application.
I was about to say that, man.
And every lender had their own column headers, row labels, field labels, simple things like borrower name. It could be customer name, borrower name, borrower first name. All those different variances today are standardized inside the MISMO business glossary that just allows technology to talk to each other seamlessly.
Yeah, I thought, the application, the keyword there, uniform, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing. I mean, without standardization across the board, it'd be chaos. It would be impossible to have tech talking to each other. It would be impossible to securitize without standards. And that, of course, makes the world go around. And I think it's something that the vast majority of mortgage professionals, they know it, but they don't really, for lack of a better term, they take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, this is what we got. Well, anytime something new comes along, guess what? We have to re-standardize it. And so,
that's right.
And that is not an easy task, especially when it comes to the different and varying technologies that we deal with every single day in the mortgage business, man. Tell me a little bit about some of the latest goings on with MISMO then, please.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with this. You and I, have the CMB designation, right? And I was in front of a group of 30 CMBs a couple of weeks ago. And just to kind of reiterate your point, and this, by the way, would have been me 8 months ago. So I'm not knocking anybody, but, by and large, the majority of that group of 30, and most of them are seasoned, mortgage executives, knew very little about MISMO, understood the importance at a very high level, but didn't understand the mechanics. And so what I'll tell you, the newest published standard, the mortgage compliance dataset, to me is a really great example of the power of a standards organization like MISMO and how the creation of this new standard is going to solve major problems for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
So, and I shared this with the group as an example, and it was like, aha, I get it. So about 3 years ago, Skip, the Conference of State Bank Supervisors, CSBS, which is the state regulators trade association effectively, right? We have the MBA in our mortgage industry. The state regulators have CSBS. The CSBS was given a problem statement from its members, the state regulators, and the problem was something like this. Hey, CSBS, can you help us create a uniform data request that each state would follow when we ask lenders for their loan data in order to do loan reviews as part of an audit?
Yeah.
And so CSBS was like, yeah, it's a great use.
Sounds easy enough, simple enough, right?
But CSBS doesn't build standards. They could help configure something for their membership, but they're not really a standards organization. So they came to MISMO literally at the same time that a lender, a large lender, arguably one of the largest lenders, a non-bank, state licensed lender, came to MISMO and said, hey, MISMO, we have a problem that we would like you to explore and solve for the industry. And the problem is this: I'm a 50-state lender. I get 50 separate requests for the same data with different column headers, different row labels, all the stuff. And, I have multiple full-time resources. All they do is, aggregate and distribute and fix data in order to fulfill state audits. And so we had these two problem statements from two different cohorts came in at the same time. And MISMO is the place where problems are brought in and then solutions can be built. And so what we did, and I'm kind of giving you, this is like remember the Saturday morning cartoon, I'm Just a Bill, only a bill.
Oh yeah, man. Right.
This is kind of the equivalent for MISMO. So we had these problem statements that came in. The MISMO, my team, we're small. We're only 6 of us on the MISMO, team.
That. Okay.
Exactly. So
I learned something today.
There you go. None of us that, every day wake up and go to work at MISMO we're not part of the standards building process. What we do is we provide an environment, an ecosystem, and a model where the community of the mortgage industry, the subject matter experts on a particular problem, can come together. And so based on those problem statements, we put a call out to industry. Here's the problem statement. We're asking for experts in legal compliance, lending, technology, state regulators to come together and work on this problem statement. And the work will be in the form of creating a data standard. And so this was a heavy lift. It took 2+ years to get to the place where we published the version 2.0 last December. That is now the mortgage compliance data set. It is a published data standard. And now technology vendors, providers are building solutions on top of that data standard.
Yeah.
That will help the regulators, that will help the lenders. And so as we get scaled adoption of this, using this standard, lenders are going to see like real cost savings in their organizations. So this is an example of where standards, can and do impact, the economics of running a mortgage business.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of like, and please correct me if I've got this analogy completely wrong, but it sounds like for banks, they have the FDIC standardized requirements for exams and that kind of thing. And for state chartered banks, most of the states go off of that still, so we can keep it uniform. I mean, you've got to get everybody to agree on what needs to be in there. You got to get everybody to, agree to the format, the standardization, and then the implementation. Man, that's a daunting task for any undertaking.
That's right, and that's so what happens inside of MISMO is the community comes together in the form of a development work group, DWG. You'll hear, and for the MCD, this work group is like 80 to 120 people at any given time in the group. Again, representing all facets of lending, a cross section of the ecosystem. And so part of their ongoing work after the creation of the standard is to drive adoption. So it's they're not necessarily evergreen because at some point these work groups kind of sunset and we go more into a maintenance mode. But in one like this, it'll have a multi-year lifespan as we go from creation to implementation.
So there's something that's popped in my head here for this. What are some of the biggest buy-in challenges that you've got from different parties? I mean, what's some of the pushback that you routinely hear?
Yeah. So there's a couple. I'll start with the one that's near and dearest to my heart because we're in the middle of the funding season, if you will.
Yeah.
So we're a nonprofit. MISMO is a nonprofit, right? And we're funded by the industry. We're funded by the vendors, service providers, platform providers, if you will. That's one vertical of funding. That looks pretty straightforward. Those vendors become members of MISMO. That unlocks access to the standard specifications so that they can then, build on top of those specs, build product, build workflow on top of those specs. So it's pretty straightforward on the vendor side. On the lender side, lenders today are assessed an annual innovation investment fund invoice. That's a derivative of their prior year volume. So 2025 volume in units times 75 cents per loan. That's the IIF invoice for each lender.
Gotcha.
Today, on the lender side, it's a voluntary process, whether they, fund that or not. So, you may or may not have seen that I've changed what I talk about on LinkedIn in a big way. And
Yes.
I'll definitely trying to, intentionally raise the awareness and value recognition of the work of MISMO. Because as we record this, Skip, the lenders, are, in the they've received their invoices and are, hopefully making, hopefully they've forwarded it on to accounting, for processing. And so a big push for us has been, raising awareness on the value, the importance, and the tangible return that a lender gets when they participate in the funding of this organization. So that's the funding side. I forgot what your question was, honestly.
Buy-in challenges.
Buy-in challenge. So then we get to adoption, right? In adoption, standards tend to look two ways. There's standards that become mandatory or mandated, typically by the GSEs. So there's a set of standards in the Uniform Residential Loan Application. The Fannie 3.4 is a great example of a mandated standard. You can't submit a loan to LP or DU without creating that MISMO compliant data set. It just doesn't work, right? Fannie and Freddie collectively about a dozen years ago created the Uniform Mortgage Data Program, UMPD, DP. And so you've got the U's, the Uniform Closing Disclosure, UCD, UAD, which is the appraisal disclosure. You got all these U's that roll up. Those are all mandated, right? So adoption there is it happens because every technology platform. You have to. So there's probably a third of our standards fall into that kind of mandated, mandatory, coming from the GSEs, et cetera. MCD is a good example that in current state, in the initial implementation, it's not going to be mandated. CSBS is not mandating that the states adopt this. They're strongly suggesting that it's the best practice. So in cases where the standard is not mandated, there's a lot of effort to raise the awareness of the value of the standard and why using it is a benefit to a technologist, a lender, a regulator. And so the biggest challenges I would say, are really the legacy technology platforms whose architecture is not, it's not modern per se. They have a process to update their technologies, understandably. And, updating a standard or adding a data standard that's not necessarily going to drive more revenue for them doesn't get put to the highest part of their priority list. And so there's that. But what I would say is what's encouraging is watching a lot of these, de novo startup tech companies, most being run by like 20-something, recent college grads.
That's how it goes, yeah.
And they're all building an AI powered solution for mortgage the mortgage industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's a dozen of them that I've been tracking over the last 120 days. All 12 of those have built their product on top of the existing MISMO data model.
Okay.
So they recognize the value of this building on top of standards.
Yeah, I mean, they want scalability. So
that's it. That's exactly it. It checks the box for them, to say they're MISMO compliant,
mm-hmm.
and then allows their product to talk with other products in the tech stack. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's all about, to me, there's 3 A's that we're focused on: awareness, adoption, and alignment. And that it's a flywheel for those 3 A's.
It's almost like you've said that a time or two before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, let's shift gears away from MISMO real quick and talk a little bit about the Rethink Everything series. So
Yeah.
I know this is near and dear to your heart. So talk to me a little bit about that and what's the scoop?
Yeah, a little over 2 years ago, a guy named Kyle Draper and I think a lot of people that are probably watching and listening know Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
We published the Green Book. It's somewhere over here.
Yeah, it's blurred, but we still see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, why is my thing blurred? Anyway, so Rethink Everything About Being a Next Gen Loan Officer was or is a compilation book. 37 authors each wrote a chapter, kind of, using their expertise, their skills to share with the loan officer community. The idea when we wrote this was, serving the next gen home buyer
Mm-hmm.
is not going to work if you just use kind of, decades old processes or mindset.
Right.
There's a different set of expectations. And so that book really, really helped drive a awareness of just different ways to think about serving the next gen, consumer, not just from a technology perspective, but like how you show up.
Yeah,
for
mindset, and it's almost like everything but the nuts and bolts too. It's all equally important.
Exactly. And so, there's been a lot of traction on that. And what's been really cool to watch is Kyle, under this Rethink brand, just published the 13th book in this Rethink series. Like, they just published a book on craft beer. Go figure. Rethink everything you know about craft beer.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited that I'm going to verbalize this here because this locks in the accountability factor. But we're kicking off the process of a second edition of the Rethink Everything You Know About Being a Next Gen Loan Officer.
Mm-hmm.
And this edition will be more of it'll have a very specific and intentional focus on AI. Like how loan officers should be thinking about AI, not just the tools that they would use in their day-to-day business, but how the next gen home buyer is leveraging AI in their own journey towards home ownership.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we'll do the same thing. We're going to, ask, a couple dozen experts in the loan origination space and technology space to write a chapter to help educate the next gen loan officer on how best to serve the next gen home buyer, and again with a focus on AI.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So that's exciting. Do y'all have an anticipated release date for that? I mean, we're at the beginning stages, but
we're at the beginning stages. We're compiling authors as we speak, but we think we can push this one pretty fast. So we're expecting that we'll publish sometime in the summer months here. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, man. So as we draw to a close, I've got some Michigan State basketball trivia for you.
Oh boy.
All right.
Here we go.
So we're gonna go easy, medium, and hard.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So that was too easy.
Magic Johnson.
Yeah, right. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. What color jerseys are Michigan State best known for wearing at home?
White.
And
with green trim.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Just made a case. I told you it's going to be easy for that one. All right. Let's see. This is good. What is the nickname of Michigan State student section at Breslin Center?
The Izzone.
That's right.
Izzo.
That's
Izzone.
right. Okay, let's see. That was too easy. Here we go. Okay. Before Tom Izzo, who was the famous Michigan State coach who led the program from 1976 to 95 and recruited Magic Johnson?
Judd Heathcote. This was his claim to fame. He'd get mad on the sidelines and bang his forehead with his fist.
Yeah, that's a
Fun fact. So you said Judd started there, what, 1976?
six. Mm-hmm.
So there's only been two
coaches.
Coaches.
That's crazy.
76.
Yeah. I keep thinking Izzo's going to retire, but I think they're going to end up wheeling him out there eventually.
Yeah, I think he's 74 now.
Yeah, he's really not that old, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
as long as he's vertical, I think he's going to be out there.
He's driving for that elusive second national championship.
I'm not quitting until I get it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Last question. What Spartan point guard broke the Big Ten assist record in 2020?
Oh, Mateen Cleaves. No, you said 2020.
2020.
Cassius Winston.
Yeah, that's correct, man. Look at you. A round of applause for you there. That is awesome.
Cassius broke Mateen Cleaves' prior record.
So, all right, man. For anyone out there who wants to learn more about you and or get in touch with them, where should they go? What should they do?
I always say just go to LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. I respond to my LinkedIn messages just like it's my inbox. So LinkedIn's the best place to go. I share a lot of industry information and really lately I've been sharing a lot about MISMO. And then last thing I'll plug is in June 1st through the 4th in Louisville, Kentucky, we are hosting the MISMO Spring Summit. So encourage anyone that wants to learn more about MISMO, go check us out on mismo.org, and you can check out the Spring Summit. What's cool about our summits, Skip, is they're hybrid, so people can attend in person, which is love, but we also professionally stream them as a hybrid live event. And so it's a great way for some of the back office folks that maybe don't get approval to travel to still have access to the information and learn and participate.
I love that you said professionally stream it, so you don't just have some guy shaking
it's not
there on Facebook Live. Yeah,
that's right.
I love it. All right, man. Thank you again. Great information. I appreciate you coming on to share it, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
Appreciate you, Skip.
All right, thanks.